Brakes are to the floor. I don't think there's any fluid in here. And he drove it here. It's unbelievable. Safety being the #1 concern, you'd think that they'd get it towed. It's almost half a bottle. So I feel pulsing when I'm stepping on the brakes, and I think what happened is the disc, it's a vented disc, it has splines in the middle. And I think the piston came out so far because the disc is worn that it's now pushing against the fins. Holy crap. And people drive like that. It was noisy I'll make you bet it was noisy over a month or so ago already, and they continue to drive. Yeah, pretty close to what I guessed. Holy. You can see the thickness of the rotor here. It's a vented rotor, so these are the fins. Fairly thick here, fairly thick here. Look at how skinny this guy is. Oh, the pad came out too. I'm going to take a picture of the rotor here. These are the fins right there. Squeeze the piston back in a bit. That's nice. Boot's broken because the piston came out so far. going to need a piston, but I still don't know where all the brake fluid went. So I'm going to wedge a piece of wood in here, pump up the brakes, see if there's any leaks. Needs to go in straight, otherwise it starts to bind. Helps if it went the right way. Trick is this caliper's come out so far that it's difficult to start it back in again. It has to go in perfectly straight or else it binds. There it goes. Now it's going in. We're going to replace this caliper. I just need to get it back in far enough so I can get a piece of wood in here. Now I can pressure test the system. It feels like a solid pedal now. So he probably didn't lose any brake fluid. Brake fluid was just low because the piston extended too far out. If I go slow, the pedal doesn't seem to be dropping all the way to the floor. That indicates the master cylinder is in good shape still. If you press slowly and the pedal sinks all the way to the floor, the one of the master cylinder seals, piston seal, is bypassing. So I went slowly, but now I'm pushing fairly hard and it's still solid. If you don't have a pressure bleeder to bleed the brakes or a second person, well, you're actually going to need a second person regardless anyways for pressure bleeding or pump and hold bleeding. But rather than pump it up, hold it, and then expelling the fluid under pressure, what you can do is hook up a hose, immerse it in brake fluid, clean brake fluid, open up the bleeder, and then have somebody pump the brakes. And what happens is that fluid will be expelled, and on the return stroke, fluid will get sucked up. So you'll expel air. Air's coming out right now. I don't know if you can see it. That's because the air was in here, and obviously gravity is pulling brake fluid down, and that's pushing the air out. I like this method also because when you pump it, you can see the dirty fluid coming out, and then eventually clean fluid. So I'm just going to grab a second person and we'll demonstrate this. Okay, pump. So that's new disc, new caliper, new disc. But I think I know why he ignored the grinding brakes. The wheel bearing is so noisy inside the car. See if you can pick that up on the mic. Just resting the screwdriver on the glasses. It's really noisy inside the car.